Hollywood, Hollywood, I love you. Until I don't. You tuned in to New Job Who Dis. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, one and all. Happy Monday to you all who have tuned in to New Job Who Dis. I am your illustrious host for this journey through podcasting and videocasting. Ooh, am I dating myself in some way, calling it videocasting? I don't know. It doesn't matter. We're here and you're here, and I'm happy you're here. To my 7 or 11 listeners, whichever one you are, please keep tuning in. Thank you for coming back as always. If you are new here, well, aren't you in for a surprise? We're 29 episodes in. What? Oh yeah, no, we're moving and shaking, darlings. Through my journey of life adventures and falling on my face and jobs and careers, trying to get somewhere in this thing we call life, pipe dreams, childhood dreams, all the dreams that you're supposed to chase, right? They tell you, chase your dreams, kid. Do it. Go out and get there. Make your mama and daddy proud. Oh, well, I believe I'm doing that, but there's a lot of in-betweens that come with this package. Oh, it is 25 plus years, but it's realistically almost 30 years of jobs and failures and bosses and jerks and people I worked with and all sorts of crazy characters and life. Whoo! All wrapped into a nice, neat podcast. It is now 29 episodes long. So thank you for coming back. As you have last heard, if you are tuned in and dialed into all 28 episodes so far, you are up to speed. If you are not, here are the Cliff Notes. Or is it's Cliff's Notes. Give Cliff his notes back. Listen, here's what they are. I am freewheeling it right now. I do not have an official day job. Thank you very much. I am escaping and realistically putting myself out there to get rid of a crutch of a career that I've been working on, which is essentially doing stand-up comedy for a certain subsect of the gay community known as the Bears. I have a pile of issues that pile up all at once, doing those conventions and working that circuit involving weird sexual harassment moments and also just noting that I'm not fitting in. This is not where I belong as a comedian. And as a famous other comedian said to me, that they're not your audience. And they were correct. They're not my audience. Oh man, it was so weird. And it sounds so personal or so, it's not an attack. It's realistically understanding who your audience is and who to talk to. Who are you aiming to please, so to speak? I mean, if you think about it, if Kiss got up on stage to play a rock concert and they just decided to whip out their acoustic guitars and play nothing but country covers, I'm pretty sure that audience would have a few conversations and opinions about that act. Well, that's kind of where I was, except I was also on this track of being in Hollywood and being in LA and doing the LA comedy scene and getting out there as an LGBTQ gay comic. That's where I was. And it was working. And people were booking me. And I was getting more bookings. And I was booking with people who I was considering, at least in my head, that were higher ups on the chain, on the food chain or the notoriety chain of it, at least in that realm. The Jason Stewarts, the Sabrina Matthewses. These people have been on HBO and Comedy Central. I was I felt I was lucky to be on the stage with him. And then I got booked for opening for Margaret Cho. Oh, yeah. No, I got booked somehow, some way to open up for Margaret Cho and Kelly of Shoes fame. Oh, yeah. Remember Shoes? Shoes. You know the YouTube video. Oh, yeah. I was on a triple bill it was Kelly, actually a quadruple bill. It was me, Kelly Mansell, Kelly, and Margaret Cho. So I was peaking. Things are moving. Hey. So I was quitting my day job, working as hard as I can as an actor as well, doing as much background and booked acting gigs as I possibly can to pay the rent or help pay the rent and the bills as best as I can. I'm currently boyfriended. He is currently working at the job that I left to go do these wild dreams in 2007. And it went fast, man. Woo! Doing comedy, doing these gigs, doing acting, leaving the bear world as far as entertainment is concerned, and somehow deciding I need to just be me and play to a universal audience instead of the gay bear audience. I wanted to be a universal comic. That's why the bear thing wasn't working, is because, again, I said this before, I was Bill Cosby and they wanted Eddie Murphy. I was trying to be universal and clean and trying to be a bookable comic for anything. I was trying to keep my nose clean as far as the comedy because, there were things you knew about blue comics. They rarely ever got booked on, they never got considered for NBC, like right off the bat. They got, the Whitney Cummings of the world and the people that were, safer comedians, And so I didn't have a voice. I was in this lost limbo land of just being a gay comic, but I didn't feel I was gay enough. I didn't have enough gay material, or this one's for the gays kind of material. And I don't think my average straight material, if you can call it straight material, because it wasn't pointed at a sexuality, my average run-of-the-mill day-to-day material, I don't know if it was strong enough. I don't know if it carried over enough. It was tough because, again, you're playing gay audiences and they want gay material. And I'm doing, jokes about board games. And I tried to make it universal. It was tough. It was so tough. And that's how I was doing it. So we're caught up. Cast off the Bears. Bear Pride was the last one in Chicago after that dude who booked me tried to get honestly and weirdly, creepily, like he wanted some trade for that booking somehow, and that was not cute. And so I had to, during the scramble of finding acting gigs and extra work and background work and trying to just hustle and get somewhere, and I was getting somewhere, I still had to find work because it wasn't enough. And I was riding this weird train and this weird line between I just left my day job, but I don't have a safety net and I'm scared. I don't know what to do. Aha. I sadly, my then boyfriend cashed out his 401k at the time to, help rescue us because of that. It sucked. But we agreed, we survived, we're doing it, right? So, there we were. I was getting to the point where I had a CD and a DVD release. I had booked all these places in LA. I was booking places outside of LA. And then the chase for money started up again because we were drained. And with all of that happening, a little magic happened. I'll give you the in-between job. One of the in-between jobs I had was a place called It Sugar. It apostrophe sugar. I looked on Craigslist. During this time, my hustle game was strong. I was still hustling like I was when I was 14, trying to find work in between. And when you weren't finding acting work, at least I was looking on Craigslist all the time. And I found this job, It's Sugar. We're opening It's Sugar. It's Sugar at Universal City Walk. It is the shopping bazaar path city walk that is outside Universal Studios in Universal City, California, right next to North Hollywood and Studio City, right on the cusp of Hollywood. And so they were opening up this brand new candy store called It's Sugar. Ha! Sounds great, right? And it did. It sounded great on paper. But I realized really fast, this was an ageism thing that I figured out for myself, that I was not meant to work at Universal City Walk as a 34, 35, going at 30, in my mid-30s. I was not meant to work at City Walk. That is a young person's game. And why you say, oh, no, come on. Oh, yeah, listen, I'm not saying all. I'm saying for me. Because I just was not into, I didn't have anything to sell or pitch or believe in. So I applied, I got this job, right? Because that's what happens when places open up. They hire a bunch of people, right? And they weed them out. They figure out whether or not they want to keep this one or get rid of that one or what works and what doesn't. They overhire. Most places, especially corporations, they do that. They just hire a bunch of people, figure it out, and then usually there's some cast-offs that don't last, and then there's other people that become management immediately. I mean, it just happens. And I got hired, and I just didn't fit. I mean, it was fine for what it was. It was easy for me because it was dumb retail. It wasn't challenging retail. It was tourism retail. So it was just like, hey, you guys find everything okay? Yeah, we're just looking. I mean, people were not there on a mission to I'm here for my 5-year-old birthday niece. And it was like people wandering through City Walk on any given night and they're thinking about candy. That was it. It's just and it was this pop, crazy art, loud music, candy place. Great. They also had this thing where you could make your own chocolate bar. So you could essentially pick a bunch of ingredients out and have a chocolatier make your own personalized chocolate bar. Overpriced. Oh my God. Why? What are people doing with their money? I don't know. I don't understand it. And the other problem is I wasn't a candy person. So it wasn't oh my God, I can't wait to talk about all these candies and sell the candy to the candy people. I was I like some chocolates. I like this candy, but I'm not every candy, all the candy, Willy Wonka, all of it. It wasn't me. And the manager, one of the assistant managers, I mean, I could spot a micromanager a mile away. And good God, was she a micromanager? It was retail. And it wasn't even high-pressure sales retail. It was just friendly retail. Hi, welcome to It's Sugar. Right? That's it. Hi, welcome to It's Sugar. How's your day? Great. Get some lemon heads. Cashier will be right with you. That's it. What? And she kept moving me around the store. Could you go over here and talk to those people? 10 minutes go by. Could you go over in that section? Not past that, but just go over there and work that section? And then she'd stare at me from a distance. I know what you're doing. You're not fooling anybody. I get it. You're watching me. You're looking for something. I don't know what it is, but it was bad. I left it within 2 weeks. I just couldn't handle it. It was a stark reminder, though. I mean, that realistically was a stark reminder. Thank you, It's Sugar. By the way, P.S., by the way, that is one of the worst names for a candy store. It's Sugar? It's Sugar. Is it Sugar? Or is it It's Sugar? Or is it It's Sugar? I hate it. It's like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. I hate that name. Hate it. I know you're hate is a strong word. Listen, I hate it. So Yeah, It's Sugar. It was the worst. It's Sugar. Welcome to It's Sugar. Yeah. The only thing that was cool was the awesome sounding soundtrack that they played every day. That was a gem to listen to some of the bopping tunes that they played. But other than that, they had we made a Marilyn Monroe out of jelly beans. That was their like big thing. We had just picture this giant Marilyn. It didn't look like it looked like Marilyn Monroe, but it was like squid, honey. So yeah, I'm trying to hustle these jobs. I quit It's Sugar because it was just a waste of my time and theirs. Retail. And it was tourism retail. It was just bad. It was not a place for me to be. And again, it was a stark reminder. This is not where you should be, is candy retail in a tourist mall. Where do I go from here? Hustling, trying to make some money, trying to work it out. I find an ad for a game show where you end up going to Japan. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I applied and got on. I survived a Japanese game show on ABC. Season 2. Now you're saying to yourself, "Ow, well, that's not a job." You're right. It's not a job. But it is the life changer that alters my course forever. In so many ways, so many good ways and some bad ways as well. I will absolutely at some point have to do an entire podcast series, a short podcast series, maybe 10 podcasts about my illustrious games show career. But be careful what you wish for, kids, because I said it last podcast. I started it off like that. Be careful what you wish for. So, I'm no stranger to game shows. Up to this point, I was on Greed. I was on a local, it wasn't even local, it was a national version, but it was a dinky version of Card Sharks that happened in like 2003. Yeah, I still have it somewhere on tape. And then I was also on NBC's The Singing Bee. I wasn't an actual contestant. I was picked to be a contestant, but Joey Fatone did not pick me. He walked past me in pick the 6 people. You have to pick 4 of them, walk around the audience and point the microphone. Look it up. It's a long story, but I'll have to tell you that story some other time. So up to this point, I'm on 3 game shows. And I need money. So I apply for this game show, this reality show that I am familiar with. I watched the first season. I was like, wow, and I wasn't even sure they were really in Japan, but they were really in Japan. I was like, wow, that's got to be fun. So knowing who I am and knowing as we've gotten to know each other, these 28 last podcasts, you should damn well know yours truly is going to take a chance and try to get on that reality show. Why not, right? Why not? Make some money? $250,000? Are you kidding me? Yeah, I'm in. You got a trip to Japan? Maybe. I don't know. Why not? I applied. They started showing interest. What? How is this possible? Okay. They made me fill out a stack. I mean, this was a background check like I had never. It was essay questions. There was psychological questions. It was a profiling like I had never experienced before. And then they gave you this thing where they're like, we have to check the background check. We're going to send that in. That could take up to this much time. I can't remember how long it took. Up to a week, something like that. But the whole process, essentially, after being tortured, they picked me to be on this reality show. Guess what? I'm going to Japan. What? Okay. I'm unemployed or underemployed. I'm trying to make it as a comedian and an actor. I'm trying to just break out of working retail or a desk job or whatever is facing me. I don't want to do that. I want to entertain the kids and the rock stars and I want to be one of those people who gets paid to entertain some way, shape, or form. That's what I want to do. So I get on the reality show. I'm in Japan for, I believe it was, I want to say 3 weeks, if not 4. I want to say, no, it was about 3.5 weeks. I was in Japan for almost a month. What is going on in my life? What? As you can probably tell, no spoiler alert, it's been almost 12 years, because this happened in 2008, mind you. Taped it early in the part of the year, and then it showed as a summer replacement. It was actually the summer twofer, because they had Wipeout. The opener for Wipeout was I Survived a Japanese Game Show this year. I didn't survive. I did not win. But here was the plan, and here's what happened. The plan was to win. Obviously, I wanted to win some money. I mean, $250,000. Yes, please. Thank you very much. Didn't happen. Back to the drawing board. Coming back with your tail between your legs. No win. And I can't tell anybody. What? That's the worst. I mean, torture. Yes. I cannot share with anybody what happens for like 4 months at least, maybe even longer. Because this was like August when this was showing. This wasn't June 1st. Although I believe in this season they shortened it because there was some strike or something happening or the ratings weren't good and they like edited it and cut it down to like get out of it. It was weird. But yeah, so a couple things happened. I told my then boyfriend that we weren't breaking up if anything happened on the show. Meaning, if I won, got some notoriety of fame or something, nothing was changing, right? I was here. This wasn't about getting out of a relationship. This was about making money, winning on a game show, and translating that into something. Something. Now, mind you, in the reality show spectrum, people that are on reality shows sometimes get famous and they go on to bigger and better things, or they get put on more game shows or more reality shows because they're such a character and they're unforgettable that everybody wants to, I want more of this person. And the production people and the casting people are just, licking their chops going, yes, we need more Boston Rob, or yes, we need more of this drama person on these shows. We live for the drama on reality. And so I was thinking, even if I didn't win on this game show, because it was a reality game show, and if I didn't win, at least I have a major network credit of some sort to show casting people, anybody that was listening as far as a comedy booking or even an acting gig, that I was bookable, that I was somebody who had some level. They were like, wow, they let this guy on TV. He must be good enough for my stage, right? Like, it was a logical transition. It was a logical plan of attack because at the time, as a comedian, I didn't really have a lot of big acting credits to, like, you've seen him on Comedy Central, HBO, all these shows. I mean, what am I going to do? You saw him as a background actor on The Ugly Truth, the movie that got an F in Entertainment Weekly. That was my calling card. Hey, Hollywood. Hey, do you hate Katherine Heigl? Well, so do we. And he was on a movie with her. Like, my claim to fame, right? Here's the guy who was fired from Iron Man as a driver. Like, here's an ankle double from Pushing Daisies. Please welcome. I mean, that's not going to happen. But I had a CD. I had a DVD. I had network television right there in front of me. I had ABC credit. I was a reality show contestant. I had somehow made it to that level. Whatever level that is, I made it there. And when I got back, yes, there was a bit of a depression. Yes, it was weird because you go from this high of highs and you go from this exciting 3.5 weeks off on ABC's dime to compete in Japan. And you got to come home to the reality of not having a job, not working, not doing it. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. So there I am, back home, back to North Hollywood, California, back to the boyfriend. Gotta find some work. Gotta find it. Comedy is still happening, but the 3.5 week break didn't do any favors once again. Lost some footing, lost some ground. Not a lot, but it was there. And so I go back, try to do the acting thing again, try to do the booking the extra thing. It's not popping like it was. What do I do? I mean, I'm flailing at this point. I mean, I'm struggling as a human being as it is because I've just lost on this game show. I can't tell anybody. And once the show airs, another side effect happens that really messes with my head. It really did. Woo, we're going to talk about that in later episodes about the therapy I had to go through, but we'll touch upon it right now. People treat you weird or differently when you've been on TV or when you have some weird level of fame. Now, what do you mean weird? When they treat you weird? It's not, okay, they're not walking up to you acting goofy and wanting your picture and taking a photo. It's not that weird, like, oh, you're famous. Can I take a picture of you? It's not that. What I was struggling with, and it really started to manifest, was that people knew who I was, but I had no idea who they were. A side effect of fame that I didn't know was coming. I was at pool parties with the Bears. Oh yeah, just because they weren't booking me for events, just because I wasn't trying to make them laugh at some big sex convention in a major city, doesn't mean I wasn't hanging around with them still. Doesn't mean I didn't have Bear friends. But the Bear dudes, when they knew who I was, because they had heard I was on TV or I was on a game show or reality show, it's not that they rudely acted like they knew me, but they knew who I was. I mean, I was on a major network. I was on ABC. How are you going to avoid that, right? And I didn't know it was coming. And it was, you could say, well, you could just take that in stride. And I did. I definitely was polite and nice. It wasn't like, who are you? I'm famous. But that's what the side effect that also came out of this is that I realized after being on this game show and watching people act squirrely with me in whatever weird way they chose. I mean, we're talking people being intimidated by me for some reason because I'm a net TV person in their eyes. I don't know. It was, some interactions were just really awkward because what was happening to me, and it really, really cemented by the end of this episode, is that I was being perceived by some of the outside world, right? The people that I was surrounded with, or the people that were on the fringe or knew of me. I was being perceived as someone mildly famous. I was being perceived as a celebrity in some regard. No, it wasn't red carpet, Oscar, Grammy night, hanging out with real celebrities. But in their eyes, here's this guy that got on TV. He must be famous. Or maybe he is, or whatever. And what I didn't know is that it started to manifest. It was a slow boil, but boy, when it hit, it was not fun. And we'll get there on this road. I didn't feel like I was living up to any pedestal that people were putting me on for being who I was, because I felt like I hadn't reached what I wanted to reach. My real goal was not fame in that transaction. My goal was money. I mean, listen, if I would have somehow struggled through an obstacle course in Japan and came home knowing I was going to get $250,000 before taxes, even if you cut that in half, it was a straight up $125,000 is yours. The rest goes to taxes. That's all you get, $125K. My life would have been a whole lot happier. My career as a comedian may have stepped itself up because I could afford a better car. I could afford better clothing. I could afford better representation of some sort. I could have changed my game financially. But I was not looking for fame. I wasn't stupid, though. I was going to try and hopefully use the fame to get further bookings as a comic. Hey, I was on a reality show. Let's talk about it. This guy was just on a reality show. Let's book him. Ha ha! Now, mind you, I just went through a humongous NDA contract and background check, and we own your next 5 of kin. It was this crazy contract. So I wasn't ready to talk about my experience yet on stage. That was not going to happen as far as like, I've got fresh material. I just got off a plane from Japan. Let me tell you what happened. Like, couldn't talk about it yet. But I figured, why not? Why not just say it? Hey, he's going to be seen, or he is currently on I Survived a Japanese Game Show on ABC. Check it out. Here he is, right? Huh. It only worked, so it didn't work. It didn't work. I enlisted a friend at the time. He was more of an acquaintance, but somebody that I knew at the time was a former comedy manager for very famous people. He knew people in the biz. He knew the biz. He was currently working as a producer somewhere in some big office in Santa Monica. I mean, he was a big wig in my eyes. It was fine. So I asked him for advice and help, right? Shoot your shot, man. You've been running this game for 5 years now. You have a full DVD and CD. You've been on a network show. You've been in a book. You've done all these things. You played the major clubs. Put me in. I'm ready to play the real game. How do I step it up? I'll never forget the conversations. Now, we had a great lunch. We talked about it. I had lunch or dinner with somebody else I think it was at the Improv in Hollywood. We were talking about trying to get this moving. And then he threw out some lines out there to some booking friends. And one of them responded and was like, yeah, I'll book him. Tell me da. This is where it got weird. So this guy, I talked to this guy. This guy's like, oh, call my friend so-and-so. He'll get you booked in these places or whatever. Okay, great. You're giving me an agent? I wasn't really sure. The conversation wasn't clean. Like, I'm going to get you representation. And here's an agent that is now yours. Here's how it works. It was like, I know this guy and you should call him and we're going to get you booked on these places. You should try it. Do it. Oh, okay. I call this guy up and he's like, yeah, he books me for like 3 gigs. One of them is there are 2 actually in Arlington, Virginia over a weekend. One's like a Friday night and one's on a Saturday. And then the third one is in Boca Raton, Florida. Here are the 2 gigs that killed my comedy career. Rest in peace. Spoiler alert to the end of the episode. Yeah, sorry. This was it for comedy. This is what killed it. I get so excited because this guy's like, yeah, I'll totally book you. And this is how much it'll be. And this is what it'll be. And it'll be amazing. And all these things. And it sounded great on paper. Yeah, you're going to be at this hotel. And then you're going to play this one place. And then you're going to play this other place. And then you're going to do this Boca Raton gig the next weekend in Florida. Okay. The guy who booked me didn't ask a thing about my comedy. Didn't ask my style. Didn't ask for a demo. Didn't ask for a CD or a DVD. Didn't ask me how long I'd been doing comedy. Didn't say anything about my credentials. That was really suspicious and weird. I didn't know what to do or say. I was like, what? I don't get this. This is too easy. Is this you mean all this time I've been holding out for like trying to like book myself with an agent and this is all it took? This is too easy. And the numbers he was throwing out at me, I was like, what? It was like $1,500 or I know it was one gig. The Boca Raton gig was like $1,500. These Arlington gigs were like $300. And I was like, what? This is nuts. You can't, that is a lot of money. What have I done? I've earned it though. Apparently I've earned it. I've reached some next level thing that I'm not even aware that I did. Wow. I get to the Arlington gig. It was like at a pizza salon, like a pizza place that had a stage where they did comedy. That was my first warning shot. I was like, what? This isn't even like a Funny Bone or a comedy place. This is a pizza place. I perform to maybe 6 people. I want to say 8 people at most. The guy who was running the place was half in the bag, did his own quote unquote comedy, which was really awkward and painful to sit through because he was also trying to do crowd work, and the 2 girls he was doing crowd work with were not having any bit of it. It was bad. And then I had to follow that. And then after the show, he was like, you got to work on your comedy, man. Like he essentially tried to like school me that I need more practice or I need more comedy time or something. I'm like, brother, I'm a headliner at a pizza parlor. And you are drunk and you're doing awful jokes to women in the front row who are not listening and do not want any of your whatever you're bringing. What is going this? This is comedy. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I'll take the money. What? It was weird. It was tough to get paid. I had to wait till the place was completely closed. Got the money. It was handed to me sheepishly, like I guess. I was like, why am I booked on this? How is this working? I don't understand. Next, I can't even remember the next gig because I was in such a blur of the first gig that I was like, I don't even remember what the second gig, how did it go? I don't even remember anything about it. But the Boca Raton gig, ooh, that was the one. So I end up, they booked me to stay at these like suites that are part of this Everglades, Boca Raton, area that has all these like townhouses. And they book me and this lesbian comic to stay in this townhouse. Great accommodations. Apparently it's just one of these townhouses is just owned by the owners or whatever. Great, you can just stay in one of these. It's like somebody's Airbnb. It was fine. I was so broke at the time that I couldn't afford a taxi, and Lyft and Uber didn't exist yet. This was 2008. So I walked with my luggage for like 3 miles. It was the worst. I was in such pain because I couldn't afford a taxi at the time. But this gig was like $1,500, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't understand how I got this. And I didn't let on to it. I was like, okay, Florida clearly has a different perception of people on TV than I do. What? I get this gig. The lesbian comic, she was really nice. She was very I'd never heard of her. She was just a normal, there was nothing edgy about her. She was very plain clothes lesbian. and it was at this big supper club, like this huge, like, this is the entertainment capital. It reminded me of Palm Springs, where they have like one big theater that's where this is the acts. This is the show is happening tonight at the dinner supper club. You gotta go, darling. There's a comedy show. Place was packed. It was a pretty nice house. I mean, it was probably a good 200 people in there at least, doing dinner and enjoying cocktails. And it was this fancy Italiano place. It was nice. There was like 4 or 5 comics on this bill, and I was somehow the headliner. Do they know who I am? Again, this is why it was weird. I talked to this agent dude like once on the phone. He booked me. Sight unseen. Had no idea what I was bringing to the table. And let me tell you, I was so not confident after a 5-mile walk with my luggage in the humidity, being chunky and not really gay enough and not sure where I'm at, and I don't know who my audience is, and I don't know what and then I watch, here's the favorite kicker that kills it all. This is the one that just killed it for me. Lesbian goes up and does these every comic, but she was very much one of them in the line of comics that I witnessed before I had to go up, was very like, dating's hard, airplane food, the dentist jokes. Like, it was so benign, just boring and flavorless comedy. I mean, I'd heard these jokes before somehow. I felt like I'd heard these stories of airline food and, the flight was terrible. Like, nothing edgy. Not a thing that was unsafe or risky at all in the comedy. Dating's hard. Dating's hard, right? Dating, like, didn't come out. No lesbian jokes. No, I'm a lesbian. You can guess I'm a lesbian. Nothing. Just very straight, plain supper club comedy for the blue hairs of Boca Raton. And I'm sitting there, I'm like standing in the back watching this going, what did I just witness? I don't understand what is happening. This is the weirdest gig because these comics were so boring and just white crack, soda cracker boring. It was like, yeah, I went to the dentist the other day. I was in pain watching this. And then I had to follow all that with weird jokes about board games and edgy things that were not my audience. Oh, what? Oh my God, did I sweat through that gig? Did I ever sweat through that gig? And not only did I sweat, I flop sweat. I mean, it was flopping. I saw a few people, I didn't see a lot, but I saw a few people leaving. I didn't get boos, but I got a lot of indifference, right? I got a couple groany boos. I got a lot of, but I never got like, boo, get off the stage. It was just this like cross-armed indifference to me. Like, we're not digging the cut of your jib, man. This ain't that funny. What? Oh, it was painful. The most painful 30 minutes of my life. And here's what made it worse. The guys who were booking it, or the people at the club, pulled me aside after the gig, sat me in an office for a bit while they must have been calling someone, maybe the agent, or they were talking about something. They were definitely in cahoots about something. We'll be right back. Just hang out here for a second. We got to talk about this. What is it? I'm sweating. It's humid, but I'm sweating. What am I doing? What is going on? I tried to make your people laugh. I got up on stage. Yeah, it killer, but it wasn't death. They decided to pay me half, and they took me off the gig for the next night. I literally, I couldn't get mad. I could not get angry. I could not be upset, because I knew in my heart of hearts I did not slay the audience. But I also just thought, man, why am I even booked? And what I found out from the booking guy is that I was told or sold as the host of I Survived a Japanese Game Show on ABC. Not a losing contestant. Not, hey, you got kicked off in the 4th round or whatever. It was like the telephone game gone wild. I tell my friend, I would like to get booked, please. Help me get comedy bookings, please. I need help. Sure, let me talk to this friend. Hey, friend, I have this guy who was on I Survived a Japanese Game Show on ABC. You should book him. He's a comedian. I back him. Great. Hey, guy, I'm going to book you. Let me book some people. Hey, booker people at this club in Boca Raton. I've got what is it again? I can't remember. I think he's the host. He was the host of ABC's I Survived a Japanese Game Show. Yeah, that guy. What? How did this all go wrong? How did this all get jacked up? So after that experience, now mind you, I was so strained and so stressed and financially in a pickle. And the thing that hurt me the most internally was that I just wanted to do a good job. That's how my MO was since day one, since I was 14. I just want to do a good job and work hard. And when I got this report card of disappointment, and we're cutting your pay, and we're not going to have you come in the next day, I was so upset. I was like crushed. Because here it was. I was trying to break free of this bear thing. I was just trying to be a comedian. Be careful what you wish for. I was just trying to be a universal comic, and the universe answered back and gave me a triple threat of no, no, and no. Not only we're going to mess you up financially, we're going to cut your salary, we're going to put you on a bill that doesn't work for your type of comedy, and we're not going to, it was just like 1, 2, 3, 4 punch in my face that I was not. It hurt real bad. It was just not a good time. And I decided that very night I was done with comedy. Stand-up was not for me anymore. I mean, it's in me. We'll talk about that in a second. But at that time, I felt I'd worked so hard. I tried my darndest to not pigeonhole myself as a bear comic, as a gay comic. I just wanted to be a comic. I just wanted to be funny to anybody who's listening. I had some things to say. And I just never got the footing that I wanted. I realized afterwards. Now, again, this is I tried not to pigeonhole myself as a comic, and I tried not to do those things, but that's what bit me. I didn't have a voice. I didn't have a direct voice, and I was always on the fence. I tried in earnest to make it, but it never worked. And I sat in that hotel room on the day that I was supposed to perform in that night and just I ate my weight in Chinese food because I could put it on the credit card and get it delivered. And I wrote out like a diatribe of the reasons why I had to leave comedy. I had pounded that path for like 6+ years and just had to finally take a break and reassess who I was as a comic. or figure out who I was, who was I, and why was my comedy not working the way it was for at least 5 years? It all fell apart. And I came back from Boca Raton with my tail between my legs. I was undeniably depressed. Had no idea I was this depressed, but I was depressed. And I had to get work. I had to find work because I didn't have a comedy career in front of me anymore. I wasn't making money as a comic in LA anymore. I didn't want to do bear gigs anymore. That was at least something, but it was really nothing. The bear tour wasn't going to happen. And the background and acting gigs were still there, but not enough. It wasn't enough to survive on. So I had to hang all that up in a very sad live journal post and a strong decision to just say, hey, enough is enough. And I'm pretty sure it was also combined with that notion that everybody knew who I was. But I didn't know who I was. Had no idea. But everybody knew good old me. They knew me. Hey, there he is, that guy. He was on the show, the Japanese game show, reality show guy. Yeah. And I felt like I wanted to crawl into a hole because I didn't have anything to show for it. I didn't have $250,000. I didn't have any fame. I didn't have any... wow, he's there. He's made it. He's done something. He's finally getting on the red carpet. He's finally bringing in this, hey, house with a pool. What's going on? No, it never happened. I still have it in me. I absolutely have the flavor for stand-up in me. I would consider myself way more of a storyteller, if you couldn't tell. I don't have rim shot jokes of dating's hard, right, ladies? How about that airplane food? Oh, can't do it. I have more to say. I can't do 6 minutes and your lights at 5. Get off that stage and bring your 2 friends with their 2 drink minimums so the club can make $60 off them, but pay you nothing. Not having it. Not having it. Nope. I wanted the failure of a stand-up comic. But hey, again, we still have it in me. It's just like riding a bike. I'm sure I can find a stage somewhere. And, for the time being, maybe this is it. This is what I'm going to do, is tell you stories. So, that being said, we're done with comedy. We are sort of done with acting for the time being. It's hit and miss. And what are we going to do next? Well, that is why you have to tune in on Friday, ladies and gentlemen, and lover squeezes and lover cheeses. Oh, thank you for listening once again to the failures of yours truly, Halston Boddy, on New Job Who Dis. Thank you again for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Make sure you comment. Please pass it around. Tell people. Tell your friends. I say this every week, but it really means something to me. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell your coworker, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your sister, tell your brother. Tell everyone you've been tuned in to New Job Who Dis.